Hi there. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to export a whole bunch of different pieces as separate objects so that you can have them all kind of split up and ready for material ID type stuff or baking or whatever it is that you might want to do in whatever application you're going to after your Fusion stuff. So I've got this gun here and it's a zillion pieces. There's all these different individual pieces, and if I were to export this the way that I exported it in the previous video, which is just to go to the very top of the stack up here, right click and select save as STL and then export it as a single body, I would then have to try to let whatever my target program is, in my case it's going to be Zbrush, basically go in and like try to look at all of the contiguous geometry. But if you export this thing at a decent resolution, it's going to take forever. I've had models a lot simpler than this that took like multiple hours, and they don't do a great job. Whenever you have like a split body where you have two kind of coplanar faces, it's just, it never gets it right. There's always just a bunch of geo in there that's kind of messy. So the better solution is to export each piece of geometry as its own STL file. Now the problem with that is Zbrush can't import more than one STL file at a time, and as you can see here, there's like more than 80 subtools, or eventual subtools. In this case, they're still bodies. So that would be really laborious and unpleasant, but Maya can import STL files and convert them into OBJs, which you can then do a multi-append in Zbrush to get them imported into Zbrush. So anyway, I'm going to kind of go through that process and show you how it works. So I'm going to go up to the top of the stack here. Oh, and one more thing. If your model is asymmetric, not the same on both sides, what will happen is basically it'll find the geometric center, and that will be the center of your model, so you won't have symmetry when you try to take it into Zbrush or wherever to retopologize it, which is a maddening thing. So all you really got to do is create a cube that completely encompasses your geometry and is on the center line. So I guess if I can come over here and turn on the grid, you can see this cube is dead on centered, so that way this is the new bounding box when it gets exported, and everything will be in more or less the right place. I think that's mostly an issue with Zbrush, but anyway, super easy to handle on this end, giant pain in the butt if you don't do it, so make sure you handle that. You don't have to have it visible either if it's distracting you. But I'm going to go up to the top of the stack here, right click, select save as STL, and then here by default it's going to be set to one file. We want to go to one file per body, which is going to be one STL file for each one of these things. And just to keep this kind of quick and as efficient as possible, I'm going to set this at low, but you would want to set this in real life at high, and then here in the refinement options, set your normal deviation to 1. But again, like I said, that's going to give you, or 2 would probably be fine too. So if you set it at 1 and it takes forever, then you can go ahead and tweak that. But in this case, just for the sake of brevity, I'm going to leave it at low quality here. And hit OK. And so here I've got this directory, Dragunov_STL, and I just need to give it some name. So I'm just going to start the name with it as an underscore, I think. I think it's important to do that. You might not need to. But it'll basically go ahead and export all of these with an underscore in front of them, and then whatever it happens to be. Also, in order for this to work, you need to pretty much not rename any of your files. And the issue is not so much the renaming, the issue is spaces. So if you do rename stuff, just make sure you pull out all of the spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here, and it's going to think, and I'm going to pause the video for a moment. Okay, it's done. That took about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. And here are all of the files. You can see they've got their little underscore there, so it's maybe you don't have to actually put anything in there. I don't know. But I'm going to go and do a little sort by size here. And what we can see is some of these files are fairly large, and then they progressively get a little bit smaller, and then tinier, tinier, and then there's like a whole bunch of little ones. So that's going to be sort of an important thing when we get to the Zbrush phase, but for now let's head over to Maya. So I wrote a little script, and it basically what it does is it'll automatically import all of the STLs in a directory and export them as OBJs into that same directory with the same name so that you can do your multi-append in Zbrush. So the way that you want to load it up is click on your script editor, which is down here in the lower right hand corner, and go to File, Load Script. Oh, there's one thing you gotta do before this, which is make sure you're in a Python tab. The way you get to the Python tab is by doing a right click and then go to New Tab and just select Python. So now we've got an empty tab here. And so File, load script. In this case on the desktop, so I'll go to STL to OBJ. That's the script name, and I'll go to open. And you don't have to worry about it. If you want to check it out, you can. There's a little bit of commenting in there, but it's not super fancy. And then what I'm going to do is go to File and then Save Script to Shelf. Now in this case, I've already got my script saved up here, right there. We'll go ahead and do it again. So File, Save Script to Shelf, and it's going to say, what do you want to call it? And so I like to call it STL to OBJ or something. I mean, even that's going to be too long because you can see you only kind of get like the first 3 letters, but whatever. And there you can see it's kind of loaded up, so I can go ahead and close this or whatever. Now, so long as I don't crash Maya, if I shut it down, this will now be forever living on the shelf, and you don't have to worry about going into the script editor. So I'll go ahead and click it, and it's going to say, hey user, go ahead and pick a directory. So we're going to go and navigate over to that directory. Okay, so here it is. It's in my Dragunov folder, and then I've got the Dragunov _STL. So I just want to select it. I don't need to go inside of it. If I go inside, it might not work, but if I select it, it'll work just fine, and I can hit save. And actually, before I do this, I am going to open up that script editor, because there's going to be some feedback that happens up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear this, and we'll run that tool again, and hit save. And it'll go in and it'll look and sort of see what's going on here, and you can see it's going through and reading files, and once it's done reading all the files, I think, oh there we are, 12 out of 84, 13 out of 84, so you can see this is kind of where it's telling you where the progress is, and once it gets to the end it should let you know. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and let this finish. Okay, so task is complete. It's gone ahead and converted all of them. Now it doesn't actually keep them in Maya, it just kind of imports them, converts them, and then deletes the file as it goes, so you don't end up with a giant Maya scene. So now we can head over to Zbrush, and we need to go ahead and put a piece of geometry, a little sacrificial star there in the scene, and we can go to Z plugin, and then Subtool Master, and Multi-Append. Go ahead and navigate over to where I want to be. And so here's my Dragunov STL. Now if I open this up, we can see now there's just a whole bunch of OBJs in there, and I'm going to go ahead and sort this by the details and then by size. So there's a little bit of a strategy here. If you just try to import them all, and there's a whole bunch of them, there's some kind of a limit where ZBrush basically loses its ability to import any more files, and it'll just kind of blank on you. So these bigger ones here you might want to import by hand. So what I'd like to do is kind of look at the sizes and import them by size group. So these will be the 2 digits down to the single digits. We'll go ahead and see if this will work. So you can see here they're all loading in, and this looks like it's working beautifully. It's going to happen pretty quick, so I'm not going to bother pausing the video. I'm going to hit F to frame everything, turn perspective on, go to subtool. Now in this case, once this has been exported, it has its information, and you don't really need to keep the box around anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that, hit OK. So there we can see there's a whole bunch of pieces, and again, this was the 2-digit and single-digit piece of information, so that came in very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and make another attempt here. And you would probably want to save this just in case, because kind of it can get screwed up. It doesn't really crash, but the import thing stops working. And you may need to go ahead and actually merge all of these down. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go to the top here. So this may work, although it seldom does. Yeah, I'm not sure what merge visible, what this little tool's problem is, but it doesn't like to do that. I'm just going to go to merge down and hit always OK. And we'll just go ahead and basically put all of these into one subtool, and what this will allow us to do is import all of these pieces into another subtool after we do another multi-append. So we got the easiest ones. Now let's go up to the 3-digit. We'll try these. And I'm just looking at the size. So yep, this seems to be working just fine too. It's pretty great. So we'll go ahead and merge all of these down. And you can do a split to similar parts once these are all kind of in one subtool, or one tool, I mean. So now I'll go ahead and hit append, and we'll go ahead and grab the other piece here. So that we can see it's starting to come together. And we'll just do another merge down. So these are the 3 through 1 digit memory size files. Let's go ahead and do one more pass here. Go to another scene. See if I can get this to work. There we are. Okay. Looks like I might have subdivided that. Alright, so Z plugin, multi-append. So now we're up to these great big files, and there's only 4 of them, so that could be pretty easily just brought in, but I'll go ahead and try to grab these small ones, see if it'll work. Yeah, so that's what it looks like when it doesn't work, and again, it's not a big deal. Oh wait, there they are. Ah, cool. Hit fit, and we'll go to subtool and append. So now there's only one piece, and we can just go ahead and overwrite this guy with the regular old STL import. So perhaps Z plugin. I think actually multi-append here will be just fine. Go ahead and grab that to save from having to go track down the other directory. So it looks like I'm missing some pieces here, which is a little bit problematic. Maybe I appended the wrong collection in. Anyway, here we go. You kind of get the point. The punchline is sometimes you need to bring these things in as separate components. So I got to delete that piece there. And so now there's all these things, this big chunk, and I can just do a split to similar parts. Hit OK. And now the end result is I have this this model as a workable ZBrush model, and it is all separated and clean, and it didn't take too long to get it exported. So there you go. Please feel free to download this script. I'm going to put a link to it at the bottom of the tutorial. And happy Fusion 360ing and ZBrushing.